You know, one of the things about me is that I'm real. And it's not easy being independent, being your own person. It's not easy. Now, some people, because of their egos, will be quick to say it is easy because I'm my own person or they are their own person. But that's not true. They say that a lot of times because they don't want you to feel as though they are not their own person, their own person. It's a bravado type of issue. But when I say being your own person, I mean someone that stands out on their own and don't follow the crowd, don't follow the norm, as it were, don't follow trends. I don't believe in following trends. I don't believe in following things just because the majority is doing it. Because when you do that, you lose who you really are. If you ever knew who you were in the first place. And it's painful. Living a life of singularity is painful. But it's the best thing that you can do for yourself. Being self-sufficient, being self-educated on a great level is a wonderful thing. And I'm proud of that. Now, I have been talked about in my lifetime, but I don't harp on it. When I say talked about, I mean in a condescending sort of way. I have had people that try to discredit me in my lifetime, in the martial arts and other aspects of my life as well, because I don't adhere to foolishness. I'm not part of cliques and clubs. So, to a great degree, those individuals that talk about you, they're really jealous of you because they don't have the courage to stand alone themselves. They find comfort in aligning themselves with other people who are like-minded in a negative sense. People who believe what they believe, and it's really no belief at all. It's some nonsense usually. They believe in gossiping, talking about other people because they're dissatisfied with their own status and or place or station in life. As I said, it's a lonely place being independent. But you ought to try it because it's very rewarding. I said all of that to say this. On the martial arts side of things, and this is kind of complicated for some people to wrap their brains around. I started out studying and learning traditional martial arts. I did. But at the same time, I was exposed to other things in the martial arts that were not so traditional. But I started out learning traditional martial arts. So I am traditional, but I'm non-traditional as well. Meaning that I'm not so locked into tradition that I can't be myself, and I'm not so locked to tradition that I can't put myself in a position where I can't breathe. I have to be free to express myself. And I realized this many years ago. Now, for the sake of argument, for all intents and purposes, let's just say martial arts as we know it has been more popularized in Asia and more accredited in Asia, even though there's arts in other parts of the world. But let's just say Asia right now. Since I started traditionally, that's my foundation. But I don't believe in keeping alive a system or an art that belongs to another man who's been dead for 100 or 200 years or 1,000 years or more, who I don't know and who I don't have any association with. However, I take that which is useful, I absorb it, and I make it part of me. And I assimilate it into what I do if it's beneficial for me. That's what I have always done. And I won't ever change that, because everyone has some truth. Every art has some truth. Just like every religion has some truth. You have these people that are always complaining and always arguing amongst themselves in religion and in martial arts. This is better than that, and this is better than that, and it's not. It's always the individual. It's always the proponent or the practitioner of that particular thing and how it benefits them in their lives. That's me. And I try to teach these concepts of freedom, of self-expression to my students and my generations. You know, I love all of the martial arts styles and systems because we are all under the same umbrella. Human beings. Even though our methodologies might be different, we still represent the same thing. So, I'm going to give you an example, scenario, about what I was alluding to earlier. There's a karate system or style called Wado-Ryu or Wado-Ryu, Ishin-Ryu, Chito-Ryu, Shito-Ryu, Goju-Ryu, Shotokan, Kyokushin, Kyokushin, Karate, and then so on. There are different founders of those systems. There are different founders of those systems. I'm not trying to keep alive, as I said before, another person's system for the rest of my life, who I have never known, who I've never met, who I have no association with, just for the sake of keeping it, just for the sake of doing it because somebody else, thousands of other folks, or tens of thousands of other folks are doing that. Like Taekwondo, for example. I'm not trying to keep Taekwondo's system alive for the rest of my natural life and then pass that on to my generation of students to keep it alive again, because that doesn't belong to me. The concepts and the principles I absorb, like I said earlier. Even Wing Chun, I studied Wing Chun. I don't know the full system of Wing Chun because I don't want to. That's a lifetime. And I'm keeping Yip Man's system, even though he did not create it. He was a grandmaster of Wing Chun. But I'm not trying to keep that alive for the rest of my life. That's somebody else's history. That's not my history. My system, and I just use those as an example, my system is Jinindo. It is a system. It is not a style. It is a system that is comprised of techniques and principles and concepts from the things that I have studied, whereby I have given credit to all of my instructors and all of the grandmasters who have created the systems that I have learned. But you can't learn the whole system and keep passing it on and passing it on, because Hung Gar Kung Fu or Gung Fu, I'm not a Hung Gar guy. I'm not going to carry Gung Fu for the next 2 or 3 generations of my life and the students after me. We're not doing it. My students are going to carry my system, Jinindo, and it's not a style. It is an art of liberation and freedom. That's what they're carrying. Even though it has its forms, it has its methodology, but that's what they're carrying. That belongs to me, and I share those concepts and those principles with my students. But I'm not trying to keep an art alive with 15 or 20 or 30 forms that belongs to someone who died 200 or 300 years ago. That's not relevant to me. I'm not trying to keep an art alive of someone that died 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. That's not relevant to me either. We all learn from one another. I just want the concepts. I hope you comprehend what I'm saying to you. So, when I die, my students that succeed me, if you will, they'll say, this is what my teacher left me, his system of principles and concepts. And this is what his art was representative of. It's not Taekwondo, it's not Tong Soo, it's not Tai Chi Chuan, Bagua Zhang, or Xing Yi. It's not Muay Thai, it's not this particular art, because all of those instructors and those masters and grandmasters have accomplished their historical legacies, as it were. But that's not mine. My legacy is different. My system has its own forms, and they were created by its grandmaster. So, for the next 10 years, the next 20 years, 30 years, after I'm gone, whenever that time is, any students that are part of my lineage will be continuing Jinindo. God willing, it won't be some other guru, grandmaster, or master from the 16th century, 14th century, the 18th century, and so on. That's how I feel. What's the purpose of me carrying that? What's the purpose of my students carrying somebody else's legacy? That's their legacy. Their family tree and their adepts should carry their system. I'm not part of that. I hope you understand what I'm saying. And I'm only talking about me. So, this is not an indictment against anyone else. If you study Shito-ryu and you are 3rd, 4th, 5th generation of Shito-ryu practitioners, and you want to keep alive that instructor historically, that's your prerogative. That's what you want to do. And I applaud you, and that's a wonderful thing. But that's not me. That's not my system, just to use that as an example. there are 5 schools of Tai Chi: the Qian, the Wu, the Sun, and so forth style of Tai Chi, Tai Chi Chuan. So, what do I look like trying to keep that alive? I'm not Chinese. That's not my heritage. But I can benefit from it. I studied Tai Chi when I was very, very young. But I'm not trying to keep Tai Chi alive. I take what is useful for me. What I have learned even from Bagua, Zane, I take what is useful for me. I take what I have learned from Jiu Jitsu and from Zui Quan, drunken boxing, and Tong Sudo Taekwondo, and so forth in boxing, and I absorb it and I use it for me, and I pass it on to my students, those principles and concepts. So, I hope this wasn't something that bored you, and that you benefited from it, and that you understand where I'm coming from. So, that was it for today. This is Brother Teacher. Have a great day. I'm out.